This week on Aussie JetSetter, we're going to experience what it's like flying across Australia overnight on just one of the many numerous red-eye specials between Perth and the East Coast. Won't be any odd flight, however. We're going to be flying in style between Perth and Melbourne, up the pointy end in business class on Virgin Australia's stalwart Boeing 737-800 aircraft. Along the way, you'll find out how I scored a drastically reduced price seat up the pointy end cross country for less than $500. We'll get to experience not one but two Virgin lounges both before and after our flight, and we'll find out where Virgin Australia's business class still delivers the same expected standards on overnight flights. So without further ado, come join me as we put Virgin Australia's business class to the ultimate test to see how it performs in 2025 in terms of both its revamped hard product, service provision and catering, and whether it's really worth spending the extra money for red-eye flights across Australia. Hello, good evening and welcome to Not Quite Perth Airport. In fact, welcome to my own backyard here on a rather wintry, cold old Perth winter's afternoon. Anyway, in case you're wondering why I'm doing the intro for tonight's flight from my own backyard, there's pretty good reason. Actually got a few other pressing commitments immediately before tonight's flight, so going to be in a bit of a rush to get to the airport, not going to have too much time to spare, so I thought it'd just be a lot easier to do it at home without all the hassle. Anyway, on to tonight's flight. It is going to be a very exciting one. We're going to be flying Virgin Australia on their Boeing 737-800 on their red-eye special between Perth and Melbourne. Believe it or not, I haven't actually done a red-eye special between Perth and the East Coast for quite a long time now, probably predating the pandemic, so 5, 6, 7 years I'd say. But yeah, when I was a lot younger, especially in my university days, did these flights all the time between Perth and the big East Coast cities, Sydney, Brisbane, even the Gold Coast and Cairns. Always been really popular flights, you usually get quite good deals, especially on the low-cost carriers such as JetSetter, and back in the day also Tiger Airways. But yeah, just haven't really come across the need to take one in recent years. But yeah, for this upcoming weekend, I'm going over to Melbourne to watch a few footy games. So yeah, the red-eye special really suits my schedule quite well, and it is quite a cost-effective solution considering a lot of the daytime flights are a lot more expensive. So yeah, tonight we're going to be leaving at 11:45 at night, getting into Melbourne at 5:20 the next morning. Really keen to see what the red-eye experience is like in 2025 considering it's been such a long time. Imagine it is much the same sort of experience. Red-eye flights, as the name implies that you get very limited amount of sleep because it's a relatively short 3 or 3.5 hour flight over, and you skip forward 2 hours in time. That being said, however, in quite a stroke of good luck, I've been monitoring the prices of flights to Melbourne this week and they've just got absurdly expensive. I paid about $300 for this flight a couple months in advance. Thought it was a really good deal for the time of year, being in peak footy season and everything like that. But yeah, in the last week or so, they got so expensive. Even Jetstar flights are pushing $1,000 each way. And some of Virgin's flights, such as the one tonight, is now retailing at over $1,400 each way. And also Qantas is even more, $1,500, $1,600. But then in the last couple of days, I got this email from Virgin Australia, the routine email that you often get flying with them. Gives you the opportunity to put in a bid for an upgrade to business class. And I'm thinking, hang on, the economy flight is already like $1,400 and business class is retailing for $1,800. Don't have much of an opportunity, but I did have a look at minimum bid. It was $150, so I thought, why not just give it a go? I'll put $10 more, $160. And yeah, I looked at the seat map and last night there was literally 5 business class seats available and there was no economy. So I thought, in a strange sort of airline seating economics, Virgin Australia might actually be a half of a chance of accepting my bid. Not because they're making much more money out of me, but it gives them the opportunity to basically put my economy seat back up on the market and flog it off for $1,400, $1,500. So I thought, yeah, you've got nothing to lose. So I put the bid in and yeah, a couple hours after putting it in, I got another email saying it was confirmed and successful. So yeah, we're flying business class tonight. People are literally paying $1,400 for this flight in economy right now. And yeah, I'm flying in business class, $300 for the original fare plus an extra $160 for the upgrade. So business class or less than $500 coast to coast, you certainly can't go wrong with that, especially when people are paying like over $1,000 more for economy tickets now. So the lesson is, folks, if you're keen to fly business class and you're prepared to put in a modest upgrade bid, there's never any harm in trying. So the worst that's going to happen is they're going to knock it back and you retain your original seat and booking. And yeah, you just never know, you might have good fortune like I am tonight. So yeah, I think my red-eye flight experience tonight has just got a lot more bearable, got a much better seat, got proper food and drinks on aboard, even got access to the lounge before the flight and hopefully after as well. And this will also be the first time I ever reviewed business class coast to coast on a red-eye flight, so really looking forward to it. So without further ado, let's skip forward about 4 or so hours and I'll see you at Perth Airport where we'll get checked in, we'll check out the Virgin Australia lounge and we'll head on the red-eye special to Melbourne. Let's do this. Before we head into Airport Terminal building, let's have a look at the route information for flight VA698 over to Melbourne tonight. Great circle distance on this one is 2,706 kilometres with a gazetted flight time of 3 hours and 35 minutes. So today we're going to do it in just shy over 3 hours and 2 minutes, levelling off at a relatively low 35,000 feet. And just like that, welcome to T1 Domestic, the home of most Virgin Australia flights here in Perth. For your information, Perth Airport is currently the 4th busiest airport in Australia. According to the latest 2024-2025 statistics, it serviced around 17.5 million yearly passengers. Here late on a Friday night, it's relatively quite busy here at Perth Airport compared to other Australian domestic terminals. That's because of the high amount of late night red-eye overnight flights to the East Coast capitals. Virgin Australia operate red-eyes to Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney, in addition to Qantas and also Jetstar, who in addition also operate overnighters to the Gold Coast and Cairns. Anyway, on to check-in. It's largely a self-service, fully automated affair here at T1 Domestic for Virgin Australia. Actually definitely prefer Virgin Australia over Qantas for check-in here in Perth. Of course, rather than being forced to check in on your phone, you can actually use the kiosk to check in person at the airport and get a physical boarding pass. Then it's on to self-service baggage drop. Very simple, all you gotta do is scan your boarding pass and plonk your bag on the conveyor belt. Follow the several aviation security prompts. And then off your bag should go to, in our case tonight, Melbourne. Wasn't quite as simple with this machine, however. Didn't seem to be working. So yeah, I just quickly went over to another machine where I had no hassles whatsoever. After a very easy and hassle-free check-in and badge drop experience, it was then off to T1 Domestic Security. And despite the quick succession of 3 red-eye overnight flights leaving in the 11 o'clock hour late at night, it was actually really quiet. Only took a few minutes to get through. All very easy here at T1 Domestic. Latest in CT scanners meant nothing had to come out of my bag. Anyway, it's now off to the Virgin Australia lounge, which is conveniently located immediately after clearing the security checkpoint, just on the left hand side there, before you make a beeline for the gates. I don't have Velocity Gold status or higher, so I'm getting in the lounge tonight courtesy of my business class upgrade bid coming off. As always, I find the Virgin Australia lounges, no matter where you visit in Australia, because they're mainly just in the major capital city locations, they're all very uniform in design. They're all rather quite large, all have a good range of overall seating to suit solo travellers and groups alike. Whether you're here for work or relaxing, you should be able to find a seat to suit your needs. Virgin's lounges also have business facilities and high-speed Wi-Fi, along with shower and toilet facilities. There's also one nice long buffet food and beverage area, mainly light bites and cold cut meats, that sort of stuff late at night. Also a fully tended bar as well, which serves booze after 12 PM. Also Bristol made coffee is available as well. Expecting a business class dinner on board tonight, so just grab myself a beer. Think it was a very tasty pirate life with some cheese and crackers. Think they'll tie me over. Also some great views out over the tarmac and apron here at Perth Airport of the Virgin Australia wing of T1. Anyway, after a very pleasant, although quite short stay, probably less than an hour or so in the lounge tonight, it's now time to make our way over to Gate 44. We're flying in business tonight, so we should be able to board anytime at our leisure. But before we head on board, let's have a quick look at our aircraft taking us over to Melbourne tonight, our Boeing 737-800, the stalwart of Virgin Australia's domestic fleet. So waiting on stand for us at Gate 44 tonight is our 737-800. Registration on this one is Victor Hotel, Yankee Foxtrot Victor. Very simple history on this one, as it was delivered direct to Virgin Australia in November of 2015, putting this aircraft at shy under 10 years of age at time of taking the flight. And just like that, boarding is called on time. I think I prioritised my time at the lounge tonight, so not taking advantage of early priority boarding as a business class guest. That being said, I was still able to access the priority boarding lane, so I didn't have to wait in line like everyone else. Overall, I recall the whole boarding experience being very efficient and orderly with Virgin Australia. And just like that, welcome aboard the airline stalwart Boeing 737-800. Total 176 seats on this aircraft. We're up front in the small business class cabin, which consists of just 8 seats in a 2-2 configuration. Up front in the business cabin, you'll find black leather recliner seats with a pitch of 37 inches, along with a generous recline, adjustable headrest, also a sturdy tray table that pops out from the left-hand armrest. Also got a storage cubby on the right-hand armrest as well, along with controls for the recline and the seat. In the seat in front, you also find a built-in storage cubby for the in-flight literature, consisting of the safety demo card and air sickness bags. Appears that Virgin have got rid of the in-flight magazine. For some reason I failed to document the pre-departure drink service, but we were offered a choice of either sparkling wine or orange juice. A nice way to start the journey, saying I don't think Qantas still do in domestic business these days.
When flying with us, if you need a hand with it.
On board Virgin Australia flight VA 698 direct to Melbourne. Just finishing up the loading of baggage downstairs, not too much longer. We'll get closed up and push back here, taxiing out and departing to the south. Left hand turn to Sentinel, left hand send into Melbourne. Get back to top of the scent, update the arrival details. For now, some back black to do the flight. Thanks, Johnny's.
Anyway, as you can see, we're now pushing back from the gate. As you can see, unfortunately I'm seated at 2D today, so not at the window. Fortunately, at the time my business class bid came in, this was the only seat available. But nonetheless, I'll try the best I can with the takeoff, so enjoy the best glimpses of our departure out of Perth this evening. Then once fully in the air, on our way to our relatively low cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, I'll go over what you can expect on board on a red-eye overnight Virgin Australia business class flight.
you to purchase with a credit card or a digital payment from your smart device. And of course, there's complimentary tea, coffee and water. If you lose your device in your seat or move the seat, just ask your crew for assistance. If you're in the main cabin seat in row 3 onwards, you'll find 2 toilets at 3 in the aircraft. The forward lavatory is for business class only. Please let us know if there's anything at all we can do to make your flight more comfortable. We're always available to help.
As first order of business tonight, before the late night dinner service comes around for business class passengers, let's have a look at one of the 3 onboard lavatories on this aircraft. 2 at the rear of the aircraft for economy class passengers, and 1 at the forward left hand side for the exclusive use of business class. Inside, however, it's very much a standard narrow body lavatory. Got most of the amenities that you would expect, all kept very neat and tidy as you would expect for very early on in the flight. Got other amenities as well, such as coat hook, but no baby change table in this lavatory however. Before the dinner service comes out, let's have a second look at some of our seating features. So you can see the tray table is very sturdy indeed, can be configured in multiple ways, also for media consumption. Got a very big storage cubby there on the right hand side with charging facilities, the seat controls, and also a center point cocktail table there, handy if you're just having a drink. Also, here's the adjustable headrest, very comfortable indeed, also great level of recline. And just like that, the business class meal service is served. All comes on the one tray, and tonight I opt for the chicken tikka masala, which comes accompanied with cheese and crackers, a dessert and a bread roll, along with sparkling or still water and your choice of drinks, which include soft drinks, tea, coffee, wines and beers. I go for the Green Beacon Tropical Pale Ale. Very tasty beer, and the chicken tikka masala was absolutely sensational. Very tender and flavoursome. Overall, great meal service tonight on Virgin Australia, especially considering it's an overnight flight. Was expecting the catering to be perhaps a little bit more toned down, so full marks to Virgin. Anyway, as you can see, we're now well and truly into reviewing Virgin Australia's stream to your own device entertainment system. So no seat back screens here on Virgin Australia, even in business class. So yeah, you'll need to provide your own device such as a tablet, phone or MacBook or laptop. And you can connect through the Virgin Australia app or via the prompts through a web browser that you'll see in the Virgin Australia menu. In terms of the entertainment itself, there's a reasonably good overall range of movies, TV shows, kids content and podcasts. Certainly not the most extensive entertainment system, but yeah, it's not exactly lacking either. I'm more of a documentary sort of person, however, really do find the options very limited in this regard. So yeah, I usually find myself watching my own pre-downloaded content on my MacBook when flying on Virgin Australia. Also, interestingly, there doesn't appear to be any in-flight moving map, which is a little bit bizarre. Most stream to your own device setups certainly do, including Qantas. Another cool little amenity of flying business class with Virgin Australia is complimentary Wi-Fi access, which is also available to Velocity Platinum and Beyond program members. For everyone else out the back in economy, you can also purchase Wi-Fi at a cost of $9.75 for a 30-minute pass, or a flight pass covering the whole duration of the flight for $19.95. Now let's put the Wi-Fi speed to the ultimate test in 3 different stages of varying degrees of intensity. Start with checking the weather, seems to handle this fairly easily. Now we'll move on to browsing the news, which seems to be taking a little bit longer, but nonetheless it does eventually load after quite a few moments. Let's now ramp things up quite considerably with our streaming service. Head straight over to Foxtel to try and stream Foxtel Go, but unfortunately I'm faced with an error message access denied. So even though we're flying within Australia, seems like the satellite they're connecting to must not be using an Australian IP address, because they've got absolutely no luck whatsoever. So that's a bit unfortunate, but I guess the only other option to test out the streaming is to go to YouTube and find a channel like Al Jazeera that you can watch freely on YouTube. Let's see how it performs. So it does take quite a long time to load, probably about 10 seconds or so. But yeah, surprisingly, once it actually loads, it seems to be playing quite buffer free indeed. So overall, quite impressed by the quality of Virgin Australia's Wi-Fi services, especially as we're flying across the Great Australian Bight. Aside from that, not too much more to report about tonight's red-eye flight, other than it's going very quickly and it's very comfortable indeed. Settle in to watch some more documentaries on my own MacBook with a Green Beacon Tropical Pale Ale in hand. And not much sooner after I settled in to unwind for the rest of tonight's red-eye flight, the lights then come on. We're almost about to make our descent into Melbourne's Tullamarine International Airport. So once again, enjoy the best glimpses of our approach and landing into Melbourne the best I can from the aisle. Then once on the ground, we'll then visit the Virgin Australia Lounge on arrival. I'll go over my final thoughts and verdict about tonight's Virgin Australia Business Class red-eye experience.
Exit to clear, so the seatbelt sign is switched off. But just take care when you open the lockers and make sure you have everything before you leave. You leave it through the forward and the rear doors. If you leave it to the rear door, you have stairs to go down, so please mind yourself as you exit. Hold the handrails and remain on the outside of the markers on the tarmac. If not comfortable with using stairs, just stay seated and leave through the forward door when it's clear. As for refueling, smoking, vaping or using e-cigarettes is allowed anywhere on the tarmac or in the terminal. You can now take your devices off flight mode, but note that you can't use them on the tarmac. Thank you for flying Virgin Australia. It's been our pleasure flying you from Perth. On behalf of all the crew, we'd like to wish you a safe onwards journey or a warm welcome home, and we hope to see you again in the near future. Thank you and have a lovely day.
And just like that, it's great to be back in the sporting capital of the world once again. That is, of course, the capital of Victoria, Australia. That is Melbourne. Really do love visiting Melbourne. Try to get here at least twice yearly. Once during the early summer months of January for the Australian Open tennis, and also again mid-winter for a footy weekend. Anyway, we're now off to the Virgin Australia Lounge for on-arrival lounge access, which is a great offline business class with Virgin Australia. Coming in very handy, considering it's a very early 5 in the morning that we're arriving. Whilst we're walking over there, let me just reflect on why I think tonight's Virgin Australia upgrade bid was such good value in my opinion. You're free to have a different opinion, but for me, I believe it was $160 very well worth spent. Admittedly, I would have not bought all this food and drink if I was just flying in economy, but yeah, if you were to break it down, I reckon you get at least $50 value out of the lounge in Perth if you have a couple of drinks and a bit of food before your flight. Once on board as well, you're getting a much better seat, which is of course still better than Economy X, which charges $85 for this route. Then you get food and beverage included on board, let's say $50 worth for a few drinks and a pretty good meal. Then you get lounge access on arrival, which you're going now. We're going to have some breakfast and a coffee, let's say another $20. So all that, I estimate at least $205 of included value from my $160 business class upgrade. Anyway, onto the lounge itself in Melbourne. Once again, very much a similar design standards to the lounge in Perth. It does seem to be a bit longer and narrower, however, definitely get the feeling it is a much larger lounge, catering to a much larger range of flights. Once again, good range of seating on this lounge, plenty of options for both working and relaxing, groups, families and solo travellers. Pretty quiet here first thing on a Saturday morning, so plenty of room to move about. Also good views out over the tarmac as well. Here you'll find all your Virgin Lounge amenities, showers, toilet facilities, all that sort of stuff, business facilities, high-speed Wi-Fi as well. In terms of food and beverage, all situated around the main one self-service buffet area, which has typical breakfast foods for this time of day, also continental options as well, and a few hot English breakfast items. There is also a barista stand as well, an attended bar that doesn't open or serve booze until after 12 noon. As for breakfast this morning, go for a hearty serving of baked beans, scrambled eggs, couple of pancakes, also a really nice flat white and a glass of orange juice. On my way out, also make sure to pick up another flat white in a takeaway cup. All very appreciated after being up all night. Definitely need that caffeine kick. Anyway, let's now head down the escalator, pick up my bag and head over to the top of the T4 car park across the road where we'll wrap up tonight's Virgin Australia Red Eye Business Class experience. And there you have it, folks. Welcome to Melbourne Tullamarine Airport here in Victoria, Australia. It's about 6 AM in the morning, still about an hour and a half to sunrise, and it's absolutely bloody freezing. It's about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, but with quite a significant wind, the wind chill is well below 0 degrees centigrade. Anyway, it was an absolutely fantastic flight last night, overnight, the Red Eye Special on Virgin Australia on the 737-800. My whole thoughts on the whole business class experience, well, really couldn't fault it whatsoever. Thought for a $160 upgrade bid, it was certainly money well spent. All that only cost me about $460 to fly in business class. The original economy fare was about $300, and then there was extra $160 for the business class bid. So absolutely exceptional value considering they were flogging off economy class airfares about $1,400 at the last minute. So yeah, really couldn't fault the whole Virgin Australia experience. Everything was really flawless last night. Check-in was super easy, only took a few minutes. The Virgin Australia Lounge in Perth was also really good. Had a reasonably good range of food and a good range of drinks as well. Had a few beers, that was enjoyable. And then yeah, we pretty well boarded on time. We pretty well left on time. We probably arrived 10-15 minutes early as well, so that was really good. Once on board, the service was really good. Really enjoyed the meal on last night's flight, the chicken tikka masala, that tasted really good. Yeah, had a few more drinks along the way as well, so really couldn't fault the service whatsoever. The entertainment on board as well, the IFE, string to your own device entertainment system, always seems to work pretty well on Virgin, and last night was no different. And business class passengers also get access to free complimentary Wi-Fi, which seemed to work pretty good. It certainly wasn't flawless, but yes, seemed to handle most of my general browsing needs pretty well. And yeah, I was able to somewhat stream live TV content as well, so that was pretty good. And finally, another really good perk about flying Virgin Australia in business class is lounge access on arrival where it's available. Obviously, it's certainly available in Melbourne, and yeah, it certainly comes really in handy, especially after overnight red-eye flight like we've just been on. This means I could get a really hearty breakfast on arrival, nice refreshing orange juice, and a really good Bristol-made coffee as well. So yeah, bit of a nocturnal person, so pretty well have been up all night, really haven't had any sleep. So yeah, really do enjoy that little bit of an energy kick once I arrive in Melbourne. So that's very much appreciated. So yeah, that's very much a real benefit flying Virgin Australia. So yeah, not really sure if Qantas offer that sort of perk for just everyday people flying business class without any real status. So that's a real bonus. Anyway, if you have enjoyed last night's flight review, really hope you have. I know I certainly have. Was worth every little bit of that extra $160 for the business class upgrade. If you have enjoyed it, really appreciate it. If you could just give it a like, leave your comments down below. Maybe share amongst your family and friends, and of course, if you haven't already, whatever brings you to my channel, if you do enjoy my content, really appreciate it if you could just take the time to subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate that. Click on that bell and notification button as well so you won't miss all my upcoming flight reviews to come. Many more cool flight reviews from around Australia, the USA, South Pacific and Asia to come up on the channel, so really looking forward to releasing those. In the meantime, you may also wish to visit my website, aussiejetsetter.com.au, for latest flight reviews, industry news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks and more. Even got a Discord server these days for fans and community of the channel to discuss all things aviation and travel, so be sure to check out that. Even check out my dedicated Instagram page, catch up with what I'm doing around the world in real time. But from here at Melbourne Tullamarine Airport on a freezing cold Saturday morning, thanks so much for watching last night's Red Eye Special with Virgin Australia in business class. But until next one, safe travels, wherever that might take you.